You're listening to the Ordinary Vegan Podcast, where we teach you everything you need to know about adopting a plant-based diet full or part-time. Our goal is to empower you to live a long and healthy life. If you have any questions, please send an email to questions@ordinaryvegan.net.
Hello, friends, and welcome to podcast number 105, How to Prevent Cognitive Decline. My name is Nancy Montuori, and my number one goal in life is to help you live a long and healthy life. And always remember, the choices you make now will determine how you will live later. And thank you so much for being here. I have something new to announce. I just released a coloring book for early elementary children called How Fruits and Veggies Save the Day. It's packed with fun illustrations, cute characters, and playful scenes, and I believe this coloring book can help children build positive associations with nutritious food. It's perfect for toddlers, preschoolers, and early elementary kids. And the coloring book is a fun way to introduce healthy food habits at home. You can find How Fruits and Veggies Save the Day on my website, ordinaryvegan.net, and on Amazon. I've always wanted to do something that would encourage healthy habits in children, and this is just the beginning, so stay tuned. Now, let's discuss cognitive decline and how you can limit your risk of developing dementia or other cognitive problems. Unfortunately, there is a rise in cognitive decline, particularly in the United States. And studies project that the number of new dementia cases per year in the U.S. will double by 2060. While some of this statistic is being driven by the aging baby boomer population, there is also an increase in mild cognitive impairment, called MCI, which we will get into. And the worldwide statistics are daunting. There are over 55 million people worldwide living with dementia, and this number will almost double every 20 years, reaching 78 million in 2030 and 139 million in 2050. Ongoing studies are investigating the role of genetic factors like the POE4 gene variant in dementia risk, particularly for women and Black Americans. Cognitive decline, while often associated with older age, can begin earlier than many realize. While some decline is a normal part of aging, noticeable changes can start as early as the 40s and 50s. Specifically, some research suggests that certain cognitive skills, like processing speed, could start declining as early as 18 or 19. Other cognitive abilities, like short-term memory, may peak around age 25 and then begin to decline. Many people begin to notice some decline in their 40s with normal age-related changes, including a slowing of cognitive speed and increased difficulty with multitasking. But with all that said, there are ways to help prevent and limit your risk with lifestyle factors. An important study published in Nature magazine concluded lifestyle interventions are the foundation for how we approach cognitive health. And a 2020 study from The Lancet found that about 45% of dementia cases may be prevented by addressing key modifiable risk factors. But before we talk about the risk factors, let's first discuss something called MCI, mild cognitive decline. MCI is a condition where there's a noticeable decline in cognitive abilities, particularly memory, beyond what's expected for a person's age, but not severe enough to significantly interfere with daily life. People with MCI experience a noticeable decline in cognitive functions such as memory, language, attention, and even judgment. While MCI can increase the risk of developing dementia, it's not the same as early stage dementia. Examples of MCI symptoms may be forgetting recent conversations or events, misplacing items frequently, difficulty finding words, getting lost in familiar places, difficulty concentrating or staying focused, or even, once again, changes in judgment. I bring this up because available evidence suggests the prevalence of MCI is on the rise. Once again, the increase is partly due to the aging global population, but additionally, factors like the COVID-19 pandemic may have contributed to the recent rise of MCI. Mainly because the inflammatory response triggered by the COVID-19 infection can affect the central nervous system and potentially damage brain cells. Also, conditions like diabetes, depression, stroke, and even factors like hearing loss and sleep apnea can increase the risk of MCI. In many cases, MCI can be reversible by treating underlying conditions like the ones I just mentioned and thyroid disorders or vitamin deficiencies. If you or someone you know is experiencing symptoms of MCI, it's essential to consult with a healthcare professional because many people can get better. Now, let's talk about the very best ways to prevent cognitive decline. Of course, we're going to begin with what you shouldn't eat. There are numerous studies that have found associations between ultra-processed foods in cognitive decline and dementia. One study found that for every 10% increase in daily intake of highly processed foods, the risk of dementia increased by as much as 25%. Another study showed that people consuming the most ultra-processed foods had a 28% faster rate of cognitive decline compared to those with lower consumption. And the ultra-processed foods they are referring to in these studies are most fast foods, soda, packaged goods like chips, cookies, and crackers, cereals, processed meats like hot dogs, bacon, and sausages, frozen meals like pizza, chicken nuggets, fish sticks, instant noodles, soups, refined grains like most white bread. It's practically everything you see in a grocery store outside of the produce department. All these foods are typically high in unhealthy fats, sugar, sodium, and preservatives. And the author of that ultra-processed food study said, quote, "These foods may also contain food additives or molecules from packaging or produced by heating, all of which have shown to affect thinking and memory skills negatively." And just because a package says low fat, for example, like potato chips and snacks, they may be lower in oils, but they are still highly processed. Low calorie, carb-free, and even gluten-free can be misleading. Just because what you are buying is free from something doesn't make it healthy. The marketing people for these companies know that putting low fat on their packaging tricks people into thinking that what they are consuming is healthy. It is not, and that is another example of it's not your fault. Many people are fooled by food labels. Food labels can be misleading or confusing, leading to inaccurate perceptions of a product's healthfulness. Now, let's talk about the numerous studies about what you should eat to prevent cognitive decline. There are many, but one particular study I want to bring up was done on 72,000 adults over the age 55 with no dementia or cognitive decline. The results of that study said that for every 10% increase in the daily dietary intake of ultra-processed foods, the risk of dementia, once again, increased by 25%. And replacing 10% of ultra-processed foods with whole, unprocessed, or minimally processed foods was associated with a 19% lower risk of dementia. It's that easy. For example, how about an apple instead of a processed apple granola bar? The key is to focus on fresh whole foods like fruits, vegetables, legumes, and nuts. Eat lots of colorful fruits and vegetables. Studies have found that foods with higher levels of carotenoids, the pigments that give fruits and veggies their orange and red color, are associated with better brain health and a lower risk of dementia. Foods that are rich in carotenoids include carrots, squash, sweet potatoes, bell peppers, tomatoes, papaya, apricots, and leafy greens like spinach and kale. Also, frozen fruits and vegetables are great options. They are often just as nutritious and very convenient. Berries are a great source of antioxidants and flavonoids, both of which are known to prevent cell damage and can stop the progression of brain damage from free radicals. Foods such as blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries all pack this nutritious punch. Plus, they have the added benefit of being naturally lower in sugar than many other fruits. I highly recommend blueberries. I've said this many times in past podcasts. I recommend them a few times a week because blueberries are often cited for their benefits for brain health, particularly in improving memory, cognitive function, and potentially reducing the risk of age-related cognitive decline. Nuts, seeds, and legumes contain antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids, as well as other nutrients such as vitamin E, B vitamins, magnesium, and zinc. All of these are shown to promote brain health and reduce age-related cognitive decline. Foods such as walnuts, almonds, peanuts, soybeans, lentils, flax seeds, and pumpkin seeds are all good choices to add to your diet if you're looking to prevent cognitive decline. Also include whole grains. Whole grains are rich in fiber and B vitamins and other nutrients and can reduce inflammation in the brain and support memory and ward off dementia. Whole grains such as quinoa, barley, brown rice, and oats are great choices and can be healthier alternatives to more processed grains such as white flour. You should think about drinking more water. Hydrate with water instead of sugary drinks. A glass of water before a meal can slightly boost metabolism, it can aid in digestion, and it promotes a feeling of fullness. At any rate, I could easily do an entire podcast on what you should eat, but I'm sure you get the picture. If you cut out processed foods, not only will you be protecting yourself from cognitive decline, you will also be protecting yourself from many harmful diseases. Your body will thrive. As I always say, you get one container in life, and you need to treat it with the utmost respect and kindness. So, the single best way to protect your cognitive health is to eliminate processed foods and eat whole foods. Other lifestyle interventions include having your blood checked for nutritional deficiencies. Deficiencies in essential nutrients like B12 or vitamin D, iron, and omega-3 fatty acids can negatively impact brain function. Another way to slow cognitive decline is to make sure you are managing your blood pressure. Preventing or controlling high blood pressure not only helps your heart, but can also help your brain. Decades of observational studies have shown that having high blood pressure in midlife from 40s to the early 60s increases the risk of cognitive decline later in life. High blood pressure often does not cause signs of illness that you can see or feel, so make sure you are having annual screenings of your blood pressure or monthly. Next is physical activity. Several studies have supported a connection between physical activity and brain health. For example, one study found that higher levels of a protein that boosts brain health were present in both mice and humans who were more physically active than in sedentary peers. Physical activity is a very important lifestyle factor for cognitive health. An observational study with cognitively normal late middle-aged participants found that more time spent doing moderate levels of physical activity was associated with a greater increase in brain glucose metabolism, which is how quickly the brain turns glucose into fuel. And a randomized controlled trial showed that exercise can increase the size of a brain structure, which is very important for memory and learning. And if you don't have a regular workout routine, it's so easy to start one. There are so many free classes on YouTube for beginners. Just search for beginner stretching or beginner yoga, or just going out for a walk after a meal can be life-changing. I also love the meditations that are available. Treat yourself to one after a workout. Another important way to slow cognitive decline is to keep your mind engaged. It is never too late to learn something new. For example, one study found that older adults who learned quilting or digital photography had more memory improvement than those who only socialized or did less cognitively demanding activities like watching TV. Mind engagement through activities like social interaction, learning new skills, and pursuing hobbies is crucial for maintaining cognitive health and potentially delaying cognitive decline. Music, theater, dance, creative writing not only improves cognitive health, but also improves your quality of life and helps with self-esteem. It's a win-win situation. I personally like taking a masterclass. It's perfect for creative motivation or just to hear someone talk about their craft is really interesting and might motivate me to do something else. I also love doing a game called Connections and Wordle in the New York Times every day. Try adding something new to your day every day, and I think it won't be long before you are craving even more activities. The next thing you need to be aware of is that some medicines, or the combinations of medicines, can affect the brain and pose risks to cognitive functions. Some of these drugs include antihistamines, sleep aids, muscle relaxants, and medications for cramps. Talk with your doctor about that. Make sure your doctor knows all the medications you are taking. Last but not least, staying connected with your family, friends, and neighbors through social activities and community programs is a great way to ward off isolation and loneliness. But did you know it may also help support your cognitive function? There was a clinical trial of almost 200 adults aged 75 and older, and it showed that even regular internet FaceTime calls could help lower the risk of cognitive decline and social isolation. Another study called the Health and Retirement Study, researchers analyzed data from more than 7,000 participants aged 65 and older and found that high social engagement, including visiting with neighbors and doing volunteer work, was associated with better cognitive health in later life. Even though I have a lot of projects and I do a lot, I volunteer for our local police department. Volunteering is great for both the individual and for the community. Additionally, volunteering strengthens communities and helps people connect with others, and you can make a positive impact by volunteering. I love volunteering, and I've been doing it in different capacities most of my life. It takes me out of my comfort zone and broadens my thinking. And always remember, you can make a difference. I recommend checking out the volunteer opportunities in your community. Well, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I appreciate all of you. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to reach out to me at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. I am here to serve you and help you on your quest to transform your health. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Ordinary Vegan. You can purchase my cookbook, my new coloring book, and my CBD from hemp pain cream at ordinaryvegan.net. Many people are using my hemp pain cream for aches and muscle pains, and maybe it can help you. If you're looking for safe products free of toxins, head to my storefront on Amazon. I carefully curated every product with our well-being as my top priority. That means only offering items that are safe, non-toxic, and free from harmful chemicals. You can find my curation at amazon.com/shop/ordinaryvegan. That's it. Thank you again for being here. Till next time.
Thanks for joining our plant-based community today. Together, we can accomplish great things. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of Ordinary Vegan's recipes and plant-based tips. If you have any questions or feedback, email us at questions@ordinaryvegan.net. Until next time.